gonna have to let that baby thaw out for a while. A good while. Why do people have to keep throwing minty generators out? I just can't help but bring them home. It doesn't smell great, but it definitely doesn't smell terrible. It doesn't look terrible either. There's just a wee bit down there. I think I'm gonna drain it out anyways, just to make sure in case there's some water floating around in it or something. I doubt it though. It doesn't smell that bad. It doesn't smell perfect. I've definitely seen a lot worse. Alrighty. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. A little yellow, but not too shabby. I poured a little wee bit of the gas that's in that jerry can, which isn't the best either. But at least I know it has no water in it, just in case there's any water it wanted to flush out. But I don't think I'm seeing any. Doesn't even look cloudy. And the gas was turned off when I got it. It seems like somebody kind of cared. Next I'm going to pull that carburetor bowl off really quick. Well, look at that. That's a really happy looking fuel bowl if you ask me. How does the carb look? Really nice. Wow. Look at that, I bet you we wouldn't even have to clean it. Well, June, let's throw some gas in it and see if that needle valve works. Hey, are you excited? Ooh, maybe we got another generator to add to the stash, eh? Who needs a fancy little lift thing when you could just throw her up on a couple of 5-gallon floor wax pails? Bonus of being a janitor, I guess. Alright, put a few fresh liters of gas in it. Fuel gauge does appear to be working, as you can see. Let's turn our gas on. Yeah, well, she's coming out of there nice. Stops easily. Don't even have to put force on it. Cool. I have no reason to believe that this carburetor isn't going to work. Now, let's check our oil. It's right full and super black. Seems like it's a decent viscosity though. Do we have compression? Shut that off. Oh yeah. Lots of compression considering these things usually have an automatic decompressor in them. Bumps are down to like minimum compression while you're starting it. So if I feel a nice decent little hit when I'm pulling it there, I'm sure she's got enough compression to run. Pop this fuel bowl back on and start draining that oil. Or dirt. I'm trying to like not have dirt fall into the drain pan so we can kind of get an idea if there's any crap in the engine, but pretty tough to prevent when you got a grimy unit like this that you can't pressure wash because it's the middle of winter. Oh yeah. I wouldn't say it's excessively thick or anything. Doesn't smell gassy, I don't think. Maybe a wee bit. But it's definitely not thinned out like it's got gas in it. Oh, don't run away on me. Get up there. You know what? I'm not seeing very much shavings. Huh. Cool. We'll have to look at it when it's done draining and see how it looks. And with this shed's wonky foundation, I don't even have to prop it on blocks on this side to get the drain plug side lower. He's just already leaning, ready to go. How does she look down there? There's still some oil along the bottom there, as you can see, but it don't seem to be super sludgy in there. She's went down to a slow trickle. Oh, there we go. Now she's a drip. Starting to see some signs of small shavings. Although that's not to get too alarmed about, because these engines don't use a filter. So that stuff kind of has nowhere else to go but just remain in the oil. From my understanding, when you use the proper small engine oil for small engines like this that don't utilize a filter for the oil, this is the kind of oil I'm talking about. I think from my understanding that this kind of oil doesn't have detergents in it. So it's intended that the shavings for the most part will just kind of hang out along the bottom or a little bit on the sides, instead of the detergents keeping it suspended in the oil at all times. That's why I always gas flush these things, because if they've had the proper oil in them and it's really old or hasn't been changed often enough, you could have some serious sludge buildup in there. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this AMSOIL small engine oil does have detergents. It does say fights heat and deposits, but regardless, this is what I use in my small engines. Although this thing won't be getting that oil right now, because this thing, you know, I don't really know if it's got a severe engine problem yet or not. I'm just going to go ahead and slap some random cheap oil I've got laying around. It'll be detergent oil, but whatever. Clean her up a little bit. If she proves to be a runner, then I change it and put the proper oil in it. Well, let's take a quick look at our oil here. Pretty dirty. See how dark it's staying? Where there's just a thin film of oil. Yeah, this stuff was pretty dirty. The viscosity doesn't seem terrible. Obviously, this isn't a super scientific test of your oil, but I always like to do this if I'm in question about it. And I find if the oil is still pretty good, it still has lots of slip with your gloves like this. But this oil actually, I mean, it's still slippery, but it's not slick. It's not the best. And it has a funny smell to it. Can't really put my finger on it. It smells like car exhaust. I think it's just really, really old. If she had lots of shavings in her, we'd be just seeing that stuff floating all over the place. But it's other than just a tiny little bit when the oil was almost all drained out there, I'm not really seeing much at all. Also, I soaked this fuel bowl gasket here, a rubber O-ringy type of thing, in some WD-40, just kind of make sure it stays soft. Well, here's some old gas that I might as well get rid of. Kind of getting it everywhere here. I like how this engine's set up, you know. Some of them kind of have like a plate right at the bottom of this fill hole here that juts out this way. And then it kind of just makes the gas just immediately go to the left and then out the drain plug, making you have to like do both sides and this, that, and the other thing. But this one, as you can see, it's just straight into the whole bottom of the crankcase there. So the gas rushes in and then kind of makes a loop around the back of it and then comes back out the drain hole. Flushes are out very effective just doing the one side here. As you can see, the bottom of that crankcase is nice and clean now. Whereas before there was some stuff stuck on the bottom there. Here's a look at the gas that we flushed through the crankcase. There's some like dirt right there. That wouldn't have been from the engine, that's just what's falling off from underneath of the thing. Same thing, it's pretty dark, but I'm not seeing any shavings in there, like, at all. Cool. This is the oil I'm going to slap in it there. I bought a bunch of this stuff years ago. I was going to use in my 90s Polaris 4-stroke quad, but ended up going with AMSOIL ATV oil. It would work great in my cars though, I guess, but whatever. It's going to be used for this old girl. And I'm so confident it'll run, I even give it a quick and dirty WD buff. Just look at her gleaming now. There we go, almost a full liter later. We're nice and plumb full. Alright, well, I beat this bar kind of straight again to help me get the tank out of the way. I want to check the spark and stuff here. It's usually not hard to remove these tanks. Those 4 bolts and pop the fuel line off and it'll just lift and come right out of there. But this one will not. I'm sure if I fought with it enough and got it at just the right angle, I'd be able to get it out of there. But man, was it ever putting up a fight. So eventually I just left it kinked over like that there, and it's plenty of room to get to the plug. Good thing I don't actually have to get the tank off of there. Here's our plug. It's super black, but it doesn't look terribly old. It actually looks like somebody might have been running it with the choke on a lot or something. You can see just at the tip of the electrode it's kind of cleaned off. It kind of smells a wee bit like carb cleaner. I wonder if somebody was blasting carb cleaner in it to get it to run or something. I don't know. Cool that they actually have like a sticker telling you what maintenance to do after so long. Be nice if they told me my plug gap though. Got that plug soaking in that nasty old carb cleaner. They always come out looking like new after you hose them down with that stuff. I almost forgot the exhaust is actually plugged off here with mud. This must have been the side that hit the ground when they threw it in the scrapyard. Boy, did that ever go in that far, hola. There's probably supposed to be some sort of a spark arrest. Oh yeah, that's it right there. Ooh, that's never coming off. Look at those screws, eh? I'd like to just get rid of that little thing. All they ever do is just plug up. We're usually very conscientious about where we run these things. I'm not too worried about starting fires. There we go, nice and cleaned up. A little bit of wire brush action and a quick rinse with brake clean. She's brand new, although her plug gap sure ain't brand new. We're at almost 43 thousandths of an inch here, and from the bit of research that I've just done here, I think I've come to the conclusion that the plug gaps on most of these Chinese Honda clone generators like this are supposed to be 28 to 31 thousandths of an inch. I'm not 100% sure if that's actually right or not, but does it really matter that much? All I know is this one's way up at 40 thousandths. I'm just going to go ahead and put it to 30 thousandths. There we go, there's 29 thousandths. Moment of truth. Do we have spark? Oh yeah! Yeah, I'm going to have to pull it fast to get her to spark. I'm going to give her a few good yanks like this, just to kind of circulate some oil around there, in case it hasn't been running in a really long time. It doesn't feel like it has though, it pulls nice. Yeah, it looks like this pull start's already had a redneck fix or two going on there. It works pretty good though. It's a little sticky, but I mean, what pull start friggin' isn't? But if it blows up, that's fine. I found a bunch of replacements in the scrapyard the other day. Oh shoot, I forgot to show you guys this muffler without its screen before I pulled it over there. There was a big pile of soot and carbon and whatever right behind this screen. This is the inside of the screen. It's fairly plugged off. Yeah, all the soot just blew out now. She blasted all the way back here, little chunks of it. Safe to say this thing won't be going back in there. Oh, here's something I just noticed. This one has the same problem that my dad's cheapo yellow generator had. The way they got this choke set up here to keep it on or off is basically just the bottom of this black pivoting part here would rub against this little nub that's coming up and just kind of be restriction. That's the only thing that holds the choke on or off. Of course, after using it for a couple of years, this plastic here is kind of worn down a bit, and it won't rub on that nub anymore, as you can see better from this angle. Super chintzy setup. So what is the fix for that, you ask? Just wrap up a zip tie kind of around them pegs, so as it kind of goes underneath of this rotating choke assembly here, and add some restriction. I also put a dab of Lucas on there, kind of up in this pivoting part for the lever that you grab, just because it's pretty chintzy. Give it some time to wear in just a little bit. That is currently my fix for that. I'm not really sure what else you would do to fix that. Well, I'll get this tank back together here, and we'll lug her outside and see if she starts. I guess in all the excitement I forgot to even look at the air filter here. Yeah, it's definitely not the best, but it's not terrible. Good enough for testing purposes. Again, if she proves to be a good runner, I'll go ahead and clean and re-oil it. Alrighty, I usually try to leave these kind of generators tipped down on the carburetor side just a little bit, in case the needle and seat wants to not function properly. It won't just totally gas out the engine, it'll just drip out the air filter. And it's in a spot where the muffler is going to blow out onto untouched snow, so we'll be able to see if anything blows out. Choke, turn it on. One pull. Nice and quiet. Can you see the stuff that blew out there? Not that much, but... every time it gives it lots of throttle, it clears out a little more. I'm going to go get a couple of heaters, make her really work. Now, according to that wattage rating, she can do 3,000 watts continuously. That's obviously divided up between each plug-in. So we plug each heater into a different bank of plug-ins, and it should be able to handle it just fine. Muffler is blowing stuff out. Oh, it sounds like she's working pretty hard. I guess it's working right at its maximum. See if this generator goes up in flames here. It's hard to tell on the camera, but that sooty spot there definitely got bigger, and you can see all of it like blowing out right when I plugged them both in. To be honest, I think this is just a little bit too much. The exhaust must be getting hot. The snow is starting to melt here. And the engine sounds really healthy. It's not knocking or rattling or anything. Oh, there's our little volt gauge. I forgot about that. muffler's probably got a bit of stuff built up in it. I turned one of the heaters here on low heat, so it's not quite at her maximum anymore. Well, I'm just going to let this thing chug away for a good half hour or so and let that muffler clean out. Then I guess put her away. Got another generator. Already got two in the stash here that fully work, and a few more that don't. Just purring like a kitten. Well, she's been going for about a half an hour now. Still seems all good. I've been checking and swapping the plugs and making sure nothing's getting hot. Everything's staying nice and cool. I was able to turn the second heater back onto high after a few minutes, and it seems to be able to handle it perfectly now. I don't know why, but earlier it was kind of bogging out just a tiny bit there. She probably just has to clean out a bit. That muffler smells real nice and hot, but it's not blowing, so it's not running too lean or anything. There, we'll let her run with no load for a while. Let her cool down a bit before shutting it off. Look at the snow's like got a nice blaze to it all the way back there from the heat melting it. I'm just going to leave it off for a bit here with the fuel valve still on and see if the air filter starts to get wet. I guess I should say drip out of the air filter housing, which it is not doing. I could see the odd drip dripping off of the carburetor fuel bowl, so I'm assuming that rubber gasket thing is no good. It's usually always the case. I'll just slap an O-ring on there and call it a day. Yeah, we made her work. She just melted a nice crater into that drift. But I bet that muffler's nice and clean now. She was nice and hot, man. You can see it was actually making the generator sink into the snow down there. Just soot deposits all over the place. I think this little light's too bright here. I think it shows it better without the light. There's even little soot deposits all the way back here. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick them up. She was blasting soot deposits all the way back here. Yeah, still don't see any gas leaking out of the air filter housing. Well, buddy, I think it really is a champion. And whoever redneck fixed this recoil is also a champion. I want to give this oil just a quick little check here. Oh yeah. She's definitely getting dirty again. Yeah, it's getting a little brown again. Cleaning all the areas up here and stuff. I'll definitely run it a couple of times like that with this detergent oil in it. Let it clean out the rest of the system and then drain and fill with some proper small engine oil. And we got a seemingly reliable generator. Fuel line isn't leaking, so alright, no, I guess it wouldn't yet because the gas isn't on. And from the research from the